What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Outdoor Chef Life. I'm Taku, and today we're talking about seaweed. We're gonna see what we have, what kind of seaweed we can find here, and we'll talk about if they're edible or what they can be used for and things of that nature. First, let's answer your question. Are all seaweed edible? The short answer is yes, they are all edible. But are they actually edible? Some of them, not really. It gets a little more complex, but it's pretty simple. Follow along and you'll learn what I mean. First, we have one right here, just right underneath me. This is a very common species of seaweed. Come in closer. This is called sea lettuce. And this is, very good to eat. You can eat this raw, you can eat this blanched, you can eat it dehydrated, any way you like. Sea lettuce is always pretty easy to find because they're so high up in the intertidal zone. Right now it's about a negative 0.2, I believe, and so that's not very low, but it's a decent low tide. You can see behind me it goes out much further, so we're still high up in intertidal zone, and we're gonna harvest some of this. And I'm using these little guys right here instead of a knife because these ones pull off so easily from the rocks. You want it to be sustainable, right? You don't want to pull out the whole entire seaweed. You want to use something like this, some scissors or a knife or something to just cut it off at the base, so you get everything besides the root, so it can grow back, and we can keep having this over and over. And these are really sharp, and it works really well on these guys. So to harvest seaweed, you do need a fishing license still. You need a fishing license to harvest anything off the coast. So just grab a fishing license. All seaweed grow attached onto something. So if you're looking for seaweed, you obviously need somewhere that's gonna be kind of rocky. See, there's a bunch of rocks here. So what I mean by they're all edible, but not really, is that there are no poisonous seaweed. So even if you misidentify some of them, because there are some that look exactly the same, but if you want to eat all seaweed, the edibility factor of it, like the texture, the toughness, that's what makes it sort of not edible, or maybe slimy, or it's bitter or something like that. It's not poisonous, so you can technically eat it, but it may not be pleasant to eat some seaweed. So that's what I mean. Actually, in California, we do have two species of seaweed that it is illegal to harvest, and one of them is called surfgrass and the other one is called sea palm. Surfgrass kind of looks like long strands of grass that's growing out of the ocean floor. They create habitat, a lot of good habitat for fish and shellfish and all kinds of things like that. But sea palm, on the other hand, I believe sea palm, the reason why that's illegal to harvest is because some years ago it was over harvested. So now you're not allowed to harvest any in California. Those are the only two that you're not allowed to harvest, so watch out for those. Sea palm look like little palm trees on the rocks. They'll stick out of a rock, and then they have these fronds that stick out just like palm trees. Pretty cool looking, but you can't take them. Okay, now I found a different species of seaweed. Here we have some Turkish washcloth, they call it. And check this out. See that? It has this rough surface. It's kind of feels rubbery. It's a little elastic, and it feels like you might be able to wash yourself with this seaweed if you didn't have a sponge. If you were stranded out on an island, you find this. Yeah, this is how you're gonna wash yourself. But I've never tried eating these because they don't seem very good to me. They look kind of tough and rubbery. But today, for the sake of trying things, let's try some of it. So I'm going to snip a few of these off here so we can have a sample and try some Turkish washcloth. Okay, now we found another variety of seaweed here. Well, this is variety of kelp. This one here is called the feather boa, and it's very long. These grow so long. You can see, look how long it goes, It's about 20 feet long. This is what I'm talking about if it's like not really edible, I mean, it's not poisonous, but I don't think you would want to eat this. It's like rope right here. I've never tried eating it either, and but maybe we'll find out today if they're actually edible. Let's grab a slightly smaller one, not that giant 20-foot long one. We're trying different seaweeds today. That's what we're doing, seeing which one is the best edible seaweed. So let's go out there and see if we can find any other species. And we do have bag limits for seaweed in California. Seaweed and kelp, all combined total of 10 pounds per person per day can be harvested. And you technically have to carry a scale on you, something like this that I carry, a hang scale, so I can just hang it and weigh how much I have. Okay, now we've come further out in the intertidal zone, and this is what we find here. This one is called rainbow leaf, I believe. And this is an edible species. Well, like I say, they're all technically edible, but this one I've eaten before. It's very similar to wakame, but we'll try this out too. And they call it rainbow leaf or iridescent weed or something like that too, because they do have sort of this iridescence to it. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. And these come in different colors. This is this looks sort of brownish green, but you can find them kind of more red colored, little more green. But yeah, if you guys like these videos, we can do more seaweed like this, and we can experiment different species of seaweed or different ways of cooking them and things like that. So let me know in the comments if you like this kind of content. I found another species of seaweed here that I'm about to show you right below me. This one here is nori, and yeah, just like the ones they use in sushi, this is what they use. This is the species of seaweed that they use. Yeah, we're gonna take some of this. This is a very delicious type of seaweed, as a lot of you may know. Nori is very good. I think we have 5 different types of seaweed, so we'll go back, cook them up, and see which one tastes the best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dehydrate this seaweed, and I don't have a dehydrator, but I do have an oven, and I think the lowest temperature it goes to is 170 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to put it in 170 degrees Fahrenheit, but before I do that, I'm going to wash it off first. I'm going to rinse everything out very cleanly, make sure to check every single piece, make sure to get all the sand out and any of the little sea critters that may be living on there still. So you want to get all of them off the seaweed so it's all nice and clean. And I'm gonna just leave it on a sheet tray with the paper towel underneath to air dry it a little bit before I put it into the oven. I'll preheat the oven for 170 degrees and just toss it in. And at 170 degrees, the sea lettuce, the nori, they took about 3 to 4 hours to completely dehydrate. So that was that. I actually increased the heat for the feather boa and then a few of the other the Turkish washcloth and the iridescent seaweed, because I wanted to cook these seaweeds since they're much thicker than the nori or the sea lettuce. I felt like if it was going to be edible just as is, it needed to be cooked a little bit because it's so thick, right? So that's what I did. I put it in at 350 for about 35 minutes, and this is how it came out. The feather boa looks pretty interesting, huh? Now it actually looks completely edible, and that middle stipe that was like way thick and I thought it wasn't going to be eaten at all, I think it's perfectly fine to eat. So let's just try these by themselves first, and I'll give you my little first reaction. All right, I'm gonna try a piece of the little leaf that's sticking out here, just a little bit here, and yeah. Oh, right away. Whoa, that's salty, very salty. It's like kombu, dehydrated kombu. If you've ever used kombu for cooking or anything like that, and you see that really white powdery stuff on the outside, that's basically crystallized salt. And if you eat a piece of kombu that's been dehydrated, you get that kick of salt, that saltiness. And the feather boa actually has pretty much the same exact thing, which is very interesting, which means that it's probably really good for making broth, because in Japanese cooking we use kombu for pretty much everything. We use it for sauces, we use it for broth. Sorry about the train. Well, anyways, as I was saying, that it's like kombu, which is actually really surprising to me. I didn't think, I don't know, I never really wanted to try to eat it because no, it just didn't look like it was edible, you know. But like I said earlier, all seaweed is technically edible, but yeah, this one is actually very good and very surprised. I'm gonna try that stipe, that middle portion that's really thick. So let's see if I can actually eat that part. So there you go. Let's see, we'll try that middle. Completely edible. That's pretty crazy. That would be good for broth, I'm telling you. Sauces, broth, whatever you use kombu for, you can use this seaweed 100%. All right, let's move on to the next one. That's pretty cool. I'm actually shocked. We'll move on to the Turkish washcloth, which I actually never really thought of eating because it's looks so tough. And yeah, and it looks, yeah, it definitely kept its like scruffy texture. But this looks burnt, but it's just dehydrated. It's not burnt, all right? Let's try this. This might be uniquely good too, but yeah, let's go for it. Whoa.
Not good.
I don't like that. Whoa. It's salty and sour. It's super sour. It's like really sour, like a lemon. Whoa. But it's also briny at the same time, so it's weird, man. God, this one sucks. Let's move on. I want to get that taste out of my mouth. Well, speaking of, I got a beer. I got good old Lagunitas here. Okay, that's better. Next one, we'll try the rainbow leaf. And I did this one with two temperatures. This one at 350 and this one at 170 Fahrenheit. The one I did at 170, this one here, it looks better. Not sure if it'll taste better or any different, but it definitely looks different than this. This one looks burnt, but no, it's not. I don't think it's. Maybe it is burnt. Once you like dehydrate it, it loses its color. But now I'm thinking that it's actually burned. Maybe that's why it's so bad. Let me just try a little piece. Yeah, it's the same. It's like super sour. Okay, let me just. All right, so I guess I messed those up. Too high of temperature for too long. But we'll try this one that I did. I cooked at 170 for 3 to 4 hours. It's fine. This one is very mild in flavor. Got a little bit of that seaweed kind of taste, but pretty mild. Texture, you can probably hear that. Very crunchy. Not bad. Not bad. That's pretty good. This is also the Turkish washcloth, but this one was at 170, just with like this. So let's try this one, see if it's any better than the one that was cooked at 350. Still doesn't taste really good. The flavor is not very good. It's not sour though. I guess that sourness comes from that burnt. Yeah, but it's not that good. Just briny and feels sandy because of those little tiny things on there. Yeah, feels sandy and briny. Common one that is eaten often is right here, sea lettuce. So we'll just break a piece off right here. All I did was lay these seaweed on a sheet tray. I didn't blend them, I didn't cut them up or anything like that. I didn't prepare them in any way besides that I washed them. Not bad, not bad. Kind of has an earthiness to it. Of course, they're all like a little briny, right? But this one has more of an earthy kind of flavor. It's interesting. And so far, they each have their kind of unique flavor, which is pretty interesting too. It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but this would be good little seasoning. Like make some furikake or something like that. Nori. I've had nori. I've had this seaweed many times, and I know it's good. And let's see. This one's my favorite. Because this one, so if you eat the packaged like seaweed for sushi, which is made out of this one, tastes pretty similar, except this has a little bit more of a sweetness, if you can believe it. It's actually got a hint of sweetness in there, and taste is really good, and it's very familiar because I eat sushi often, and I use the seaweed, right? The seaweed for sushi, and that's what it tastes like. It's really good. This one is my number one for sure. Nori is my favorite. Number two, I'm actually gonna go with the feather boa. This stuff right here. The flavor is really good. It's very salty. It would be so perfect for broth, making a nice stock out of. That's very surprising to me. I didn't think I was gonna get that from any of these, but I guess I believe this is a type of kelp rather than a seaweed. Surprising, very good. Number three would be sea lettuce, and in the rainbow leaf, and in the Turkish washcloth. Turkish washcloth, yeah, I don't really see myself eating that ever again. What you do after you dehydrate the nori like this, what you can do is put a little bit of sesame oil in a pan and just fry the seaweed a little bit, and that's gonna give you, and a little sea salt as well, and that's so good. It tastes like just like those the Korean type of seaweed, the really tasty ones that you just eat for snacks forever. Seaweed, such a healthy, sustainable, and it grows everywhere. As long as you pick it right properly, just like I said, it's good for you, it's good for the environment, it's good for everybody. So yeah, get some seaweed, try it out, try different types of seaweed. I'm gonna be trying more for sure. So yeah, cheers guys.